Hello everybody, Portly Paladin back here again with another update this week. Had a fairly decent week in some regards, and a fairly horrible week in other regards. The good week, let's go ahead and get straight to the reason why you're probably here. I've lost 3 pounds. I'm down to 470. I'm excited about that. As I was saying last week, sometimes people like to piss and moan and go, oh, only 2 pounds, or oh, only 3 pounds, or whatever. But I got to thinking about it the other day, and I realized, um, it doesn't really matter because if I lose 2 to 3 pounds a week for an entire year, that's minimum 104 pounds that I'm going to lose as long as I lose 2 pounds every week. If I lose 3 pounds every week, obviously it's going to be 156. So, yeah, I don't really care. Piss and moan all you want. Doesn't matter to me. I'm still losing weight. So, whatever. As long as I'm losing weight, I'm happy. I realize, if there's a point where I haven't lost weight for an entire month, for an entire 4-month period or 4-week period, and I've been trying and I've been, watching my diet and watching everything that I do, that's when I'll have to change something. But as it stands right now, I think what I'm doing is working, being a little more active than I used to be, eating a lot better than I used to eat, and things like that. That's all working for me as it stands. I'm sure at some point that's not going to work anymore and I'm going to have to do more. But for right now, I'm satisfied with that. For several reasons. One, I don't want to get myself to a point to where I'm frustrated and I feel like losing weight has completely taken over my life, and it's something that I'm angry with or frustrated with. I don't want to get to that point because I think if I get to that point, I'm going to give up and I'm going to stop, and I don't want to be there. So rather than having to worry about that and deal with that, I'm going to be where I am now, which is just making it part of my life, not making it a huge part of my life. I still have a lot of things that I love to do, a lot of hobbies that I enjoy. I still spend a lot of time playing games at the game store, spend a lot of time doing chainmail, love watching TV, movies, spending time with my wife, things like that. I don't want it to become a point where exercise and fitness and diet and weight loss, any of these things have become the focal point of my life. I don't want that to ever happen. Because I think if that happens, then I will lose sight of why I'm doing this, and it won't be me anymore. I'll kind of lose me, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at. So I don't want that to happen ever. So I think the path that I'm taking right now to make this happen is probably the best way for me to handle it. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. Now, moving on from there, I want to talk a little bit about what kind of sucked this week. I don't have it sitting here because it's currently in the freezer. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I have a 500 gigabyte external hard drive that my sister-in-law bought me a couple of years ago for Christmas. It was a wonderful gift. I wanted it very badly. She got it for me. I loved it. Used it, to back up my information on. It was always there as a way to keep things on, so I didn't have to muddy up the hard drive of my laptop with things that I just wanted to keep around. It was sort of a backup drive for me. So I didn't use it very often. I used it every day, but I wouldn't say that I used it a ton. It wasn't something that I accessed, repeatedly throughout the day or anything like that. But for whatever reason, it failed on Monday, this past Monday, and really bummed me out. I had a lot of irreplaceable stuff on that drive. Pictures, videos, all of my videos that I posted to YouTube I had been saving on there. Granted, I can access those through YouTube, but I had some videos that I had been working on that I was sort of editing to do some things for my local game store. They're all gone. A lot of the stuff I'm missing is stuff I've written. I do like to write in my spare time, creative writing, short stories, poems, things like that. I had a whole directory full of stuff I'd written. It's all gone now. Uh, Articles that I've written for things online, douchedm.com, or a fan magazine that I used to write for that we put together. All of the issues of that were on there. I do have a few hard copies where I actually had them printed out, which is nice that I have those, but a couple of those, I mean, I don't have, there's 5 issues total of the magazine, and I only have like 2 or 3 of them printed out, so the other ones, there they are. I mean, yeah, so that's all gone. Pictures, ridiculous amounts of pictures. Stuff that I would say maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that. I got a Sony Mavic camera, the kind that actually took a floppy disk in the side of it instead of the old digital cameras where you actually had to save it on the camera and then plug it in the computer, take it off, then have a whole bunch of onboard memory. So you pretty much would fill it up and then you'd be stuck until you could offload it again. This was before the advent of things like flash memory or SD cards or anything like that. So Sony created a camera that actually took a floppy disk, a 3.5-inch floppy, as its removable media. I had one of those way back, and I used to take pictures with that a lot. I had boxes of floppies from that camera that about 3 or 4 years ago I actually took all of those pictures from the floppies, put them onto a computer, and have been saving them that way ever since. I think I might still have CD backups of those somewhere. I don't know if I still have those or not. I'll have to really dig and look. Wedding pictures, I know I do have a CD backup of those. Again, somewhere. I think it might be in our Firebox. I'm not really sure, but just a whole lot of things that I had on that drive, about 250 gigabytes rather, of stuff that is now probably completely gone. I did read somewhere that sometimes the hard drive could be like possibly overheated, and the components could have expanded, and it could just be like sticking. So one of the suggestions I read was actually taking the hard drive and putting it in the freezer, because extreme cold with metal makes metal shrink, which could free it up, and I could possibly get some data off of it that way. So like I said, it's currently in the freezer. What I did is I sort of vacuum sealed it by putting it in a Ziploc bag, sucking out all the air and sealing it, wrapping it up real tight, putting it into a second Ziploc bag, wrapping it up real tight, and then I threw it in the freezer. So it says it has to be in there for like 8 to 10 hours. Threw it in there around 9 o'clock this morning. It's now almost noon, so it's been in there for about 3 hours. Probably in about 5 hours or so, around 5 p.m. tonight, I'm going to pop it out and check it and see if it works. I'm hoping that it does, so I can save some of this data that's on there, because it's especially the irreplaceable stuff. There's a lot of irreplaceable stuff on there. It was my fault. It was a stupid move. I didn't back anything up online or on any other sort of media. CDs would have probably been the perfect choice, or DVDs even, although it would have taken a lot of DVDs for some of the stuff on there. But the pictures and things, those could have easily been put onto a DVD. Pictures and the documents and the stuff I'd written, because those are smaller files. So it's just a stupid thing that I did. It just really is. So yeah, here's a reminder for everybody. Back up your stuff. Use the cloud. Use online backups. Use Dropbox. Whatever it is. Whatever you need to use. Go out and buy a cheap external hard drive and literally put your stuff on there and just shove it somewhere and never touch it again. Or, whatever it is. Just keep backups of everything. Multiple copies. That's your tip of the day from me. So yeah, but other than that, I've been having, like I said, had a pretty good week, feeling pretty good. A weird thing has been going on. I have a friend of mine named Todd Bronze. Sorry, I hope he doesn't mind if I said his name, but he's kind of a bigger guy like myself, and he's been trying to get a little healthier and working on stuff, and he's been kind of, I think, gleaning some of my videos for tips, which I appreciate. I love that. I think that's great. But in the process, he's been wanting to get some more exercise in, and he mentioned to me, he said, hey, I've been wanting to do some walking, but I think that it's kind of boring, kind of like you said on your video. So what I've been thinking about is trying to get like a buddy to go walking, and he's like, you know what? There's a park right in between our houses. Why don't we go walking there? Just go up there for like half hour a night or whatever, and walk the walking track that's at the park. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. That's a good idea. He said that to me last week, and last week I was sick. Every day that we wanted to go, I was actually too sick to go. This week I was like, hey, let's do this thing. And then Monday was a holiday, so we ended up not doing it because we kind of had some other stuff going on, plus I had my hard drive issue. Tuesday, we couldn't do it because my timing was bad, basically. And so things just didn't match up. Yesterday, we couldn't do it because there was a massive storm that went on for like an hour. So it was like raining and everything the whole time we would have been walking. And today, I don't think we're going to do it either because schedules, again, just aren't working out. So it sucks, man. Life is just really getting in the way of things. But I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to let it push me past what I want to do or anything like that. So anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. So yeah, next time we'll talk a little bit more about a few things. Oh, I just thought of something else I wanted to talk about. Totally forgot. Again, no recipes. I should start digging for recipes, but I just don't really cook so much with recipes anymore. I cook a lot with technique, like I mentioned the last couple times, where I just sort of throw things together. That's why I like to, when I bring my things home from the grocery store, mark them down with the points right there on the packaging, and keep a list. I printed out a list of some of the staple things that we keep in the house, and how many points they are. There's like a list right on the refrigerator that says potatoes, how many points, onions, eggs, things like that. Stuff that I don't have like a package to write things on. But the big thing that I've been doing is I've been going back and watching a lot of cooking shows that feature a lot of fresh vegetables and freshness and like not a lot of heavy, oily, starchy things or anything like that. Well, one of those things I've been watching is actually Jamie at Home. Jamie Oliver's cooking show. It was on Food Network a long time ago. If you actually go to YouTube and search for it, there's a guy on there that has a bunch of Jamie Oliver things all set up in playlists, where he's actually taken the episodes and split them out into multiple videos. And if you watch it in the playlist, it's almost seamless. I mean, it just kind of goes from one video to the next. Little pause, then it pops into the next one, and you're good to go. Well, when I've been watching these videos and watching him cooking all these fresh vegetables that came out of his garden, I've gotten a lot of great ideas. And I've kind of started incorporating them into what I do. One of my favorites that he did was a salad where he took carrots from out of his garden. He peeled the outside layer off of them to get them, peeled down to the carrot. And he took the peeler and then just kept peeling. But instead of, throwing that peel away, it was going straight into a bowl, and he was kind of rotating the carrot, getting these long strips of carrot until he got it all peeled down to the core, and then he got rid of that. And he did a bunch of carrots that way into this big bowl. And then he made a dressing. And he kind of talked a little bit about how a lot of people, when they're dressing salads or anything like that, they don't really dry off their greens, their lettuce leaves or anything very well. So when you're adding this like really thick dressing, you kind of have to add a thick dressing and a decent amount of it, because of all the water that's in that lettuce. It kind of dilutes everything down, and you end up with this diluted flavor So you have to add more dressing so you actually get a decent amount of flavor on the salad. So while in the salad he made, he took a little jar, like a jelly jar, jam jar, whatever, a small one, um, probably like, I don't know, half a pint or something, and it was clean, all washed out. He put in a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of lemon juice, like maybe half a lemon, a couple glugs of olive oil, maybe 2 tablespoons. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. You use 1 part acid to 3 parts oil, and he put a little bit of mustard in there, Dijon mustard, like maybe a teaspoon at the most, and put the lid on and shook that up real hard, and it made a dressing. Took that and poured it over top of the carrots, tossed everything together, and it was like a carrot salad, like a side dish for like 4 people. And this 2 to 3 tablespoons worth of oil would be about 6 to 8 points, but like I said, it's for 4 people. So it's only 2 points per person in this little side dish. It wasn't even that small. It was decent size, maybe like about a cup of raw carrots, sort of shredded up like that. And he kind of talked about, and I realized that, as he was talking, you could do this with lots of different things. You could do that with smaller, more tender, like zucchini or summer squash, like patty pan squash. You could do that with Brussels sprouts, like raw Brussels sprouts, just like tearing out the leaves. You could do that with regular lettuces even. But if you're going to do it with like a lettuce, you're not going to want to, never do iceberg. Iceberg is way watery. Iceberg, honestly, is just not a good lettuce to be using for anything, period, as far as I'm concerned. It's okay sometimes, like on a burger, but even still, like on a burger, I'd rather have like a green leaf or a red leaf or something like that. So try to get better lettuces for one, like Boston lettuce or Bibb lettuce or butter lettuce, green leaf, red leaf, even romaine, something like that. Bring those home, separate them out, take the cores out, separate the leaves, rinse them in really cool water. The best thing to do is actually to fill your sink with cool water. Drop all these leaves in there and kind of swish them around. It gets them all rinsed off, and any dirt or anything like that will come off of them. Put them into a salad spinner. I don't normally recommend special equipment because I just think you can usually get by without it. In this case, I really think a salad spinner is very important. You can even use the little basket that's part of the salad spinner to like dip the lettuce out of the water, because it's kind of like a colander, and then drop it down into the bowl of the salad spinner, put the top on, spin everything out. Spin it really well, make sure to get all the water off, and then take it out. You use like a really big bowl or a box or a basket or something like that. Line it with a tea towel, like your kitchen towel, and put your lettuce inside there. Keep it kind of wrapped up, not too tightly, loose, but wrapped with the towel. And that'll keep your lettuce good for a couple of days, like 4 or 5 days. So pretty much a week. And your lettuce isn't going to really turn brown or get all gross. It's going to be nice. And it's going to be good and dry. So then when you actually go to make a salad, you take these leaves, you pour this dressing over it. It's actually going to stick, and you're going to get that flavor. So that's going to keep you from using a lot of extra dressing. I think that's kind of a key little technique idea. Another key technique idea that I learned on his show, well, didn't really learn on his show, but his show inspired me to think about, is taking peas, which I've been eating a lot of lately because there's a little bit of starch to them, but it's nice, fresh flavor. It's not a ton of points. It's a vegetable, so it's going to taste good, and it's going to be healthy, and it's going to be good for me. But I've been taking peas a lot, like say a bag of frozen peas, about 3 cups of water, and then like a minced up onion and a little bit of garlic. Throw that into a pot, bring it up to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, lid on it, 20 minutes, done. Take that, drain it, but save some of the the liquid. I usually actually use chicken broth when I do this, but then drain off the liquid. Pour all the peas into a blender, add a cup of the chicken broth, blend it up. If you need a little bit more to finish the blending and get it nice and smooth, go for it. And basically make a puree. That puree can be used for a ton of things. You can pour it over some pasta to make a little side dish. I've done that before. It's really good. You can, what I just recently did, which was great, is I think I might have mentioned this in the last video. I don't remember. I did one with red pepper, and then recently I did it with the peas, with roasted red pepper the first time and peas this time. Is made mashed potatoes, but rather than using any sort of margarine or butter or cream or milk, anything like that, I use the puree as like sort of the thing that makes it smooth and silky, and then mashed up the potatoes with that. Made that actually last night, and it was amazingly good. Turned out I had like these nice sort of spring green looking potatoes. It was really nice. A good thing there is if you have herbs that can really punch things up. In that would have been good was mint or chives. Like either one of those would have been really good in that. Maybe even like a little bit of thyme would be good in there. All that's really good. Just little salt and pepper into the whole thing after you mash it up. Give it some nice seasoning. Really good. You could try that. And then you can use different vegetable purees for different things. So think about that. Some of the things you could even do with the pea thing. You could sort of do almost like a green goddess type dressing, which would be really good. You'd have to cool the peas down after you pureed them, because you wouldn't want to pour a hot dressing like that onto a salad. But take the peas, take some of the puree out. If you're going to do like a green goddess dressing, I'd probably add a bunch of herbs to the peas, like parsley, chives would be great in there. Maybe a little cilantro, some basil would be really good in there. Mint again, a couple little handfuls of the herbs in there. Puree those up after the puree's cool, because you don't want to cook those herbs. Cool it down. Put it back in the blender with the herbs. Blend it up. Mix in. This is gonna sound crazy, but fat-free sour cream. On the Weight Watchers diet, a half a cup of fat-free sour cream is 0 points. So I've been using fat-free sour cream a lot for substitutes in things where you would have like bad dairy, like cream or butter or milk or something like that. Adding a little bit of fat-free sour cream gives you that sort of dairy element, but doesn't make it too bad. So in the case of this dressing, you can go ahead and actually add in the fat-free sour cream to make it a little creamier and a little bit more like a normal dressing, and you just pour that right over your salad. And that would be really good, and that would be even less points than the regular vinaigrette that I mentioned before. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, that would be really good on those carrots. That's something to think about, because that does sound really good. Wow. I'll write that down. Anyway, yeah, you could do that with all kinds of things, though. And then with the fat-free sour cream, you could use that to make dressings. Because, a lot of people, if you go to a Weight Watchers meeting sometimes, a lot of times they'll do this little experiment. They'll take a menu from, like, a local restaurant, and they'll give it to you, and they'll say, pick out an item on this menu that's healthy. And 9 times out of 10, people are going to go for the salad, because people think salad's healthy, and it can be. But dressing is horrendous. There's so much fat and calories in dressing that a lot of these times the salad that people will pick will be worse than a lot of the other ingredients on the menu. Salads can sometimes be the most caloric items on a menu because of that dressing. So if you were to make a salad healthy and like really do it well, you could do that with a creamy dressing. You could do it starting with the fat-free sour cream. What I like to do sometimes with the fat-free sour cream is mix it with like a ranch mix. Mix it up real good. Makes like a really good ranch dressing substitute for a salad. Whereas, ranch dressing would be 4 points for like 2 tablespoons of dressing. This is like 0 points for a half a cup of dressing. So that's really nice comparatively. So yeah, there you go. Now I'm done. I know I said I was done like 7 minutes ago, and then I ranted a little bit longer. But got to get those food things in there, because I know you guys always are interested in those. So I didn't want to forget. All right, there we go. Until next time, keep waging the war against your waistline. And this is your Portly Paladin. We'll see you next time.